lot of that, but this season is different. I have much more to choose from, which means that we can get the key attributes on the positions for it, and there I think Victoria is fitting better as a central midfielder.
Yeah. And just on Emma Hayes, because I think we spoke about her leaving Chelsea after the Manchester City game, but now it's been confirmed that she's going to US. I was just wondering if you have any new reflections on that news or no?
Well, like I got asked by another journalist about it, and if I was surprised, and I said yes and no. No, because I think she's done a great job at Chelsea, and for every manager there comes a time where something has to end, and that's either by your own decision or it's by the club's decision. And if you can have such a great period of time and you can also choose yourself when you're going out for it, and I think what she wants to do is to go out on a high. I mean, that's special, and that's not for everyone, so I can totally see that. Why would I be surprised? Well, I think the growth of the WSL and what we have in front of us here, and how the coming 5 years can look like with the new broadcast deals, with more teams investing, with more and more games being played at bigger stadiums. I really think that women's football is at a shifting point, that a decade ago the national teams were the priority. The national teams were the priority. In 5 years from now on, I'm not so sure that that's going to be the case. I think club football is going to play the big part. I think club football is where the development is going to be. Club football is, and I already think that is where the most high-level football is played at the moment. It's the best teams in the world. It's the same in men's football. It's now club teams. It's not national teams anymore. So in that sense, given that the future looks, in my eyes, so bright for WSL, I don't understand why anyone would leave WSL. But that's just my take.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. We'll come to the call now with Tim.
Hi, Jonas. I just wanted to ask about Jodie Taylor. It was announced she's come back in a kind of backroom role. First of all, I guess like some clarity over what that role entails, but also the qualities she showed to you and the club in the kind of short time that she was with you last season that convinced you to make this appointment.
Yeah, we're delighted to have Jodie to join us. We're obviously at a point where we are growing our also off the pitch staff to a number where we're saying like how do we become even more efficient with how we handle that, and how do we connect the different departments even better with us. So I think both me and Claire Wheatley, the director of women's football, really can use another resource in order to effectivize the way that we work, and that's where Jodie is going to come in as a great resource. And why do I think Jodie is good for that? Well, we got to know her, like you said, last season, and not only as a player but also as a person. She has, first of all, great experience, both from England but also from Europe and France with Lyon and being overseas at the NWSL. So she has a really good benchmark and knowledge of the game, and she has seen the game growing, and she has seen how that looks in different countries and at different stages. And I think she has a really high ambition and wants to make an impact and helping Arsenal to be as good as possible with that. And I think that combination is going to be really valuable for us, and I really look forward to work together with Jodie on that.
Thanks, Jonas. Speak Sunday.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Adam from the BBC.
Hi, Jonas. You touched on Brighton earlier. I was just wondering what you found to be the most impressive facts of them, and as they've kept developing with Melissa Phillips on the pitch, what's been their best attributes in your eyes?
They're a well-organized side. They're really resilient. You can see that they've been playing tough games against both Chelsea, United and City here lately. But it's a group of players. They never give in. They keep working hard. They keep collaborating. They keep believing and sticking to to their ideas. So I think you can see it's a really well built group together, good connection with their coach, and those teams are always very hard to play against.
And just a bit of a wider question. We've seen Premier League clubs like Burnley do a lot to promote the conversation around mental health in football recently. Do you think the WSL does enough or has done enough to support female footballers, and what more do you think might need to be done?
I think it's very much down to the individual clubs. Like I was talking about before when we were talking about salary and conditions, I think mental health is that as well. So I can only really speak about the situation we have at Arsenal and how much emphasis we put on it, and we put just as much emphasis on that as on any other part that we have in the game. I think we have good resources, we have clear pathways and a good understanding of how to deal with that. But how it is in other clubs, I don't know. But at Arsenal, we prioritize that.
And just on how Arsenal do it, you said it's like you have the resources, so like specific like staff members, like you talked about more recruitment staff this year. Have you got, counselling people available for the sort of mental support and that sort of?
Yeah, so what we do is we have a full-time performance psychologist that obviously works with the players, but also works in very close cooperation with the psychologists at their respective national teams. Because, of course, we have players that are in two different environments, so it's really important on how we cooperate with that. But then there is, of course, also situations that doesn't really fit in for a performance psychologist and needs clinical resource instead. And then we have really clear pathways on where to go. And there we use external resources in order to help players in those situations.
Thanks, Jonas. That's very good luck for the weekend.
Thanks.
Thanks, Adam. Genevieve?
Hi. With Kyra Cross's great performances the past 2 games, has her role changed in the squad?
I didn't hear anything.
Kyra's performances, has her role changed after those good showings that she's had?
In what way do you mean?
Like, is she still going to play the role she was brought in for, or is she going to be a more prominent player going forward just after proving herself?
I mean, the reality of it is that we have 25 players that is really good in our squad, and that each one of them is going to play big parts of us for the season. I agree with you. I think Kyra has been playing very well the last two games. But now we have a week of practices here before Brighton, and every single one wants to play against Brighton as well. And Kyra needs to be good in practice, and so does everyone else as well. And it's always going to be competition amongst the spots. So Kyra's position before these 2 games were strong, and it's strong now, and we believe a lot in her, and really look forward to see her the rest of the season.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. And Sophie?
Hi, Jonas. Just a quick one from me. I was just going to ask about the mentality of your team, because I think it's been a real mark of the last 12 months or so that the ability to turn games around at any stage. And I was just wondering what you think has been the key to that, because we've seen it last year, say, in Munich and Wolfsburg, and now at least 4 times so far this season.
Yeah, I think experience together, being task-orientated is really important. I think that is so overlooked in football, to not be task-orientated, because a lot of times people tend to speak about only the emotional side, and it almost only becomes an effort to be, or you have to try harder, you have to run more and so on when you try to overcome something. But if football as a sport would be that you would take the most direct way to the goal all the time, and that would be the best solution, everyone would start playing the game like that from minute 1. Definitely. So football is about being calm and composed and taking the right decisions at the right moments for that. And I really think that mentality helps them to be task-orientated. And and to have been in situations before and to know like how do we communicate, have we worked on an alternative way of solving this if plan A is not working and so on, and that grows over time. So I think we're at a much better point, and we were discussing that in the team to say like, if we make a comparison between how we were as a team and the dressing room when we were losing 2-0 against Birmingham, my first season in the WSL, and we compare that to the same situation against Leicester, I think that really shows the development of the team and how much better we are at handling those situations. Now the problem is we don't want to be in those situations too often. We have been there enough here now lately, so let's really try and start the Brighton game in a way where we can put ourselves in a better position.